Welcome to Athena in Truth's YouTube channel, where we provide tips and insights for you to live your best life. I am your host, Heidi. Hello, everyone. Hi, Robin.
Hi, Heidi.
We're joined today by a special guest, Chanelle Fellinger. She's a hypnotherapist, and we're going to talk to her about what she does and the role that plays in helping people heal things maybe that are in their subconscious. So we're going to start out with you, Chanelle, with a few questions. You want to give us a little background on how you became interested in hypnotherapy?
So I feel like life is very intuitive. I feel like things come to you when you need them.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like hypnotherapy found me. So I never thought that I was going to be a hypnotherapist in my life. Like I didn't know what it was about and one day there was this ad on Facebook and they were like, there's going to be a weekend where you can get to go and do hypnotherapy, learn about it, like 10%. And like, I come from a poor family, so free stuff is like, I'm like, I'll take it. But once I went there and I did the 2-day course, I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I really realized how much it resonated with me and how much it could help my two situations of people that I needed to help, that I felt like
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to help. And so for me, it was very, very important for me to try and use what I've learned to help them. And so I'd asked the guy who was running the course, I was like, will it be able to help these two specific people? And he was like, absolutely yes. And still, I didn't believe in it at that time. I was like, oh, this is like super, like taboo, a little bit weird. Like, I wasn't super into it, but I was so into it that like after the first week, I was semi hooked. I wanted to see what was next. So the
Mm-hmm.
next week when I came back, or the next month, then I literally had so for me it was like I went and I did this hypnotherapy course and I absolutely fell in love and I had to try it again. So I did it again the next month and I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with hypnotherapy in terms of a mental health solution, not just for anybody who's like has something wrong with you. Like I thought I was fine. I thought I had nothing wrong with myself. You know what I mean? I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, everything's fine with me. Until I actually I was speaking to one of my fellow hypnosisters and I was telling her about so on my profile of your hypnosister, because that's my brand, right? So on your
Mm-hmm.
hypnosister, I was telling her about she was questioning me. So I told her about some of the things that I've been through. Suddenly that night I had two nightmares. Actually, one of the worst nightmares that I had. The next night I had four of the worst nightmares that I've ever had in my life. And so I realized that even though I thought that I was fine, I felt like maybe I wasn't okay. And so I'd asked one of my hypnosisters, I said, she's dealing with like past trauma. And I said, if you want somebody to like work, if you want to like practice on somebody or whatever, I was like, I had this situation. And so
Mm-hmm.
she literally was like, so she's been guiding me through things. So she does psychotherapy as well as
Mm-hmm.
hypnotherapy. And I see psychotherapy has its place, but at the end of the day, it's like I have a friend who's done psychotherapy
Mm-hmm.
and he's not any better. So that was why I also wanted to chat to you about how you see psychotherapy versus hypnotherapy, because hypnotherapy to me, it's about your your neural pathways, right?
Mm-hmm.
So your subconscious is all of your automatic functions.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that you learn to walk, right, that took you time. And that took you time. You had to walk, you fell down, you kept going, you kept at it, right? So for me, it's a thing of, we all think that, okay, we can just sometimes be good at things and we're not good at other things.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like that. It's like the more you do something, the better you're going to get at it. So your neural pathways is like you just solidifying all of those things. And I feel like it's very eye-opening to be able to be like, look, you have the power. So hypnotherapy gives you back the power, which is just such a beautiful thing, where it's like, you know, we feel like sometimes when we have anxiety, we have anxiety. We're done. That's it. We've got it forever. Or sometimes it's like you get depressed, or you get depressed for a long period of time. It's like you have that. And I feel like with hypnotherapy, my mentors, who are amazing people, who are like, actually, in the end, I'll give you a link to a guy who does a course who's really powerful, who's so great. And it's all about like self-love and respecting ourselves and just super pure stuff, like exactly what you guys are speaking about, but intense, of like, it gives you back the power. Mental health is not a mental, you don't have anxiety, you get anxiety. Anxiety is a thing that it's driving you to a direction. So suddenly you get these signals, and those are trying to drive you in the right direction. Understand?
Right. Yes, I do. So if someone were to have a hypnotherapy session with you, what could they expect? Like from, is it something they can do once? Do they need to do it many times? What would be something that you could hope to get out of a session?
So the place where I'm at right now, this is one of my clients, and my girlfriend was like, her husband pretty much like, he couldn't sleep, right? So he was like planning on going on Xanax, and so I was like, he's open with the story. He let me give him a review. He gave me a review on this specific topic. So he had like he couldn't sleep, and so he was planning on going on like Xanax or sleeping tablets again, and his wife was like, absolutely not. And so she was like, let's just give it a shot. After one session, he sleeps through every movie. They're like, Chanelle, you should have turned on the video. It was like a huge thing for them, a huge breakthrough, because that was halting his productivity in his day. And that was one session that I did with him. But ultimately, everybody's different. So yeah, sometimes it might take more than that. Sometimes there's different elements that might feed into it. Sometimes it's like you might need a little bit more of a push than just that one session, but ultimately you could cure some things in one session. Ultimately, it's like, it could be 4 sessions. It's way less than psychotherapy. And I was wondering why. So I had a client of mine who's been going through psychotherapy for a long time in his life, right? So it's like 20 years using psychotherapy. And I was like, what is the way forward? He was like, the way forward. So the way that they framed it is, he it was of the knowing of the situation. But then I feel like that kind of traps you, because then that's kind of like a little bit of an excuse. So it's like, I have this, and this is why I'm this way, opposed to solution based. But a lot of these things are very subconscious, if you understand.
Right. Yes. Athena, do you want to weigh in on the hypnotherapy arena and why this is successful for so many people?
Absolutely. The difference between psychotherapy and hypnotherapy is primarily psychotherapy is looking at justification or a reason for the human feeling the way that they do. Hypnotherapy
Mhm.
is simply looking for the emotional cause behind the reason and therefore making it consciously known and removing it from the human's experience.
Yeah, that makes
Absolutely.
sense. Yeah.
I agree. And that's
Yeah.
why it's so much more powerful.
Yes. Hmm. So how long have you been doing this work for?
3 years now. I've
Uh-huh.
got to do, I've got to, um, I've got two like diplomas or whatever. One was a 1 year diploma, the next was a 6 month, and I'm doing another course in it. A lot of the things is on neural pathways, right? So
Hmm. Hmm.
helping you utilize your neural pathways in order to be able to become better, right? So in order,
Right.
so now we're giving you the power back into your hands. We're
Yep.
saying you've got neural pathways, and the more you do something, the better you're going to get at it. So the same way, so imagine me as a person, you as a person, everybody as a person, right? It's sorry, I'm just thinking of how I could frame it. It's imagine if we didn't, imagine if right now I had to think, how am I going to say this? How am I going to move my hands? How am I going to
Right.
walk? How am I going to talk? How am I going to do all of these things, right? So,
Hmm.
as an evolution, as a person, we need to have automatic functions that are working for us. Sometimes we have these automatic functions that are working against us,
Hmm.
and that's not productive. But so when you first learned how to drive a car, right? You were like, I need to do the stick change and I need to look left and right, and it's all these things going on, and it's a lot, it's overwhelming. But as our
Hmm.
evolution, because of our neural pathways, we are able to have some of these things as automatic functions. So originally, when we were trying to learn to walk, we would walk and we fall over and we get up again and we walk and fall over and we get up again, and eventually we don't have to think about walking. So ultimately, because we are able to have some things as an automatic functions,
Hmm.
which is now based in your subconscious mind. And sometimes, like I said, like in your subconscious mind, like we have good automatic functions and we have bad automatic functions. Sometimes the automatic functions work against us, but
Hmm.
ultimately our automatic functions like grow us. It's the reason why I'm able to talk to you without like thinking about it so much, the reason why we're able to drive without thinking about it so much, the reason why we're able to talk. Imagine if I had to tell you now, stop speaking English. Like in your head, you're like, so people think affirmations, right? Don't speak English, don't speak, you're not going to stop. Like once you learn that language, you're not going to stop. It's so
Right.
automatic. But then we have these automatic functions within us of things that are unconducive to us. And so
Hmm.
it's like in a sense of these automatic functions can help us and they're part of our neural pathways. And so
Yeah.
when we are able to say, take these things back into our hands, say, no matter what
Yeah.
I want to do, no matter what I want to learn, no matter like I can, instead
Right.
of saying I can't. Do you
Right.
understand?
Yes. So in my, like, at least to me, it seems like the hypnotherapy is very similar to if one gets in a very meditative state and you're so relaxed and you can tap into that subconscious, or even if you're like waking in the morning or going to sleep at night when your brain waves are at a lower frequency, you can kind of get into that same state and give yourself those affirmations. Athena, do you want to weigh in on that? Is it pretty similar, the hypnotherapy, to say a very deep state of meditation?
We would say that we understand what the lady, yeah, is telling us today about the profession that she is in. The subconscious mind really is responsible for a lot of things. As she said, walking, some of the involuntary movements that happen automatically. People will remember driving home in their car and don't know how they get there, having their mind completely attached or focused somewhere else, but yet they are able to drive the pattern or way home with no problem at all. You see, these are all functions of what makes a life easier for a human. This is where the subconscious mind comes in pretty handy, and it is a worthwhile tool to have, you see. But the other thing that the subconscious mind does is it records painful memories and experiences and even pains in the body that happen to a human, so that it can in some way prevent them from happening again, because it is again wanting to do this function for the human in its behalf, thinking it's doing a good thing. But actually what happens is it pinches itself off from the divine source, which is actually feeding those pathways that you were talking about that are in a human's best interest, or heading them in a direction, let's use that term, that they would like to go, you see. So although a human may be trying to self-preserve in the pinching off of an energy center, that's what we call it, when a human is not getting the full divine source energy into their energy centers because of stored painful emotions or reactions to things that have occurred in their life experience, they actually pinch themselves off from the natural flow of life, or the things that could come to them if they were not doing this, you see. And so is the subconscious a bad thing? No, it's just a tool that the human uses. But once a human becomes aware that they are unconsciously creating from their subconscious based upon experiences that are coming before them that perhaps they're not liking the feel of or seeing of, yeah, then they know right away that they mirrored something back that is held within them, that is actually causing them not to have the life that they want, not to feel the way that they want to. And sometimes we are understanding that through hypnotherapy, such as this one does, she can surface or make available to the emotions that a human perhaps is storing unconsciously, that is regurgitating things in their life that they're not wanting to see, you see.
Yes, yes.
I love that.
Chanelle, I know that you were very, you had a lot of questions for Athena. Did you want to, at this time, ask a few questions?
I feel like let's go with the flow in terms of like how we let the, and you've got the questions. Sorry, I didn't like come super prepared.
Yeah.
So
No, but I'm saying if you
you
had,
ask the questions and I'll answer them.
oh yes, but I mean, you yourself had some questions for
Yeah,
Athena.
okay.
And if you would like to ask any of those questions right now, feel free.
I would
Yes,
actually
absolutely.
specifically one, like I have a friend of mine. He's he went to jail for a year, came out of it. And I just feel like the places where we are supposed to be getting help from, right? The most, in your most vulnerable, when you're at your worst, you're supposed to get help from something. Why is it that they come out worse?
You
Why?
cannot get to where you want to go when you are placed somewhere that you don't want to be, you see. This one wouldn't be going to jail unless he had an attractive quality in him, or some type of behavior or way of being that would actually put him in the position that he was in, you see. And we know that a human will say, well, he needed help, and then what did he get? He got this terrible jail system or function that was in place that actually made him worse than what he was. But the human is a sovereign being. He is a creator all on his own. And even though there may seem like outside influences that he is placed under, make no mistake about it, he has placed himself under those by the way he has emanated, you see. So the only way that a human can really get the life experience that they want, it's not by changing the systems. It's not by denying things or pushing against them or opposing them. That's not how you're going to get what you want. The human has to be 100% responsible and accountable for what it is that they emanated that got them in the position that they are in, you see. It's not the system that's a problem. It's the one that created the problem that needs the system, you see.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Oh my God. And I see exactly why you say that, because I've been following you for a while. And the thing is that we are God, right? And we don't realize that. So we are not, so sometimes our doubts, like even my doubts. So I have a problem and then I think doubt, doubt, doubt. But then that's creation, creation, creation. and imagine
And
if
then
we
add to
just
that,
create.
it's judgment, judgment, judgment. Yes.
Mhm. We need to cut out the judgment. And I'm so with you girls on trying to like establish a thing where it's like shame, guilt, all these things, they're non-conducive to our life.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You are an experiencer. You're here as a tool. And the divine part of you is using that human tool by the way that it's been used many lifetimes and is part of many lineages, some that you will have no recollection of. They're all in there, all packed up in that DNA and in that package that belongs to you as a human. So as you come in and start to do your experiencing and then start to condemn yourself and judge yourself and blame yourself and shame yourself and everything else that it is a human does to itself, when it actually doesn't even have any complete recall of everything that it has ever experienced. The only way that it would know that there are some trapped emotions would be based upon the mirrors or the things that are coming before them in the life expressions that they are seeing, you see. And this is where we tell a human is the first stages of mastery, is actually observing themselves and noticing and getting this thing I'm not liking, not in condemnation, not in judgment, not in wondering how they attracted it to themselves and then shaming and blaming themselves, because this will only bring more of the same to you. But by the simple observation in the softness of noticing, I have something trapped within my energy center here. I'm getting a view of this over and over again. Love the human for letting you know what it is you hold within you. This is how you know the self. It's what you understand that you hold in you, and it is why you are creating the life that you are creating as it is. And so once you can really get this concept down that there is no bad human, there is no shameful, blameful, anything negative or bad going on here. There's just a tool that has had life experiences, who is accumulating information based upon those experiences and then having perceptions and beliefs that are actually bringing them the life experience that they're seeing before them. You have this opportunity in your now moment, now that you hear what we have said to you, that all of this creation that is now in your face, it is the life you are living. You've already lived it. You've already emoted. You've already thought about it. You've already had interactions with those that you have drawn conclusions about, judgments about, conceptions about. And so all of that is already done, and it's just unfolding in your life before you have any conscious awareness of it. It's unconsciously being done. What is unconsciously being done? Emoting in ways that are not serving you and not having any idea that you're doing it. And this is what a lot of humans do. Once you become conscious, and this is what we are, we're pure consciousness. We're completely aware of everything it is that we are exchanging. And so we know that when we are creating exactly what it is that we want to create. Human can do this too, by the way, not by being perfect, not by condemning, not by judging, simply by observing their human, loving their human, accepting and surrendering to the human experience, because that's never going to change. No matter what kind of psychotherapy, physical therapy, therapy that a human gets, they're never going to stop emoting. They're never going to stop having experiences that cause them to contract. Let's use that term. So once you really get this understanding and you start to observe yourself and love yourself for the experience and open to it, because the only thing that would prevent you from getting the life that you want would be constriction. It would be that you are closing or pinching yourself off to the natural flow of the life that has been born from you, from all the preferences you've had. It's already here. It's already formed. If you're not getting it in any area of your life, you're hanging on to an emotion. And we're going to tell you that the client that you have here today, psychotherapy or such could be a tool or a mechanism that would work in a human's life. We're never going to deny that releasing stored emotion is not going to be a benefit to a human. It is, yeah. But there are many ways that a human can go about it, and that is just to mention a few of them.
Yeah. You know what I was thinking when you were saying that, kind of listening to both of you, is, when someone believes that they are a creator, it's easy when they see a lot of good things in their life to say, wow, I created that. But when there's some bad things, um, not only do a lot of people not want to believe that they created that, but those emotions that you both mentioned about shame and guilt and all those things that come up for people, it's because, at least I feel, maybe Athena will correct me, but I feel like it's because they're attaching that negative to their human, instead of, like Athena says, to just acknowledge that not everything is yours. Some of it is your ancestral stuff. And if you just soothe your human and think, yes, I am a creator and I've created poorly because I've had this stuff in me that I wasn't aware of, but nevertheless, I created it, instead of going to shame, which is what your human or your ego portion of you would have you do.
Even to say you created poorly, we would strike that, because you've done nothing wrong. A human doesn't create poorly. A human creates based on what it's experienced. That's all.
Right.
There's
Right.
nothing
Yeah.
poor about it or wrong about it. You see, what becomes wrong is when a human forgets that they are a divine being, forgets that life is to be surrendered to, not perfected to some form of level of standard or satisfaction of others, or even themselves sometimes. And when a human can really become the observer, the divine become the observer of the human experience, and really soothe the human and understand why it is drawing the perceptions and conclusions it's drawing, not condemn it, not judge it, not love it. Yes. What happens is in this love of self, and what is love of self? Love is the complete surrender and acceptance of the life experience. It doesn't hold it to any standard. It doesn't judge it. It doesn't shame, guilt, blame, any of that. It just knows that a human is experiencing based on its perception and beliefs that it holds from everything that it has ever experienced throughout its existence. That's all that's really going on. And once you can move yourself to this place, you will never again look at yourself the same, or as though you've done something wrong. A human will say, well, am I to continue down the path of not doing things that I'm happy with? Am I not going to become the person that I want to become? And we said, no, that's not what's going to happen. But in the love of the human, in that kind of surrender of acceptance and observation of it and not condemning it, the human will naturally relax its energy centers. It will open in love. When it feels love, it emanates back love, and then it emanates out to its source, a feeling of acceptance, of love, of understanding, of gratitude, of appreciation that it is receiving from you, by the way. And now all those emotions that were inadvertently, let's say, or unconsciously being signaled or sent out to the universe, that have been sending experiences that are not to their liking, is now been changed to an emanation of love through your acceptance of it. And this is what self-love is. It's love the human no matter what it does. The human will align in that love. It will emanate love. It will join its source. And in the joining of its source, it will become a natural flow. A conduit will flow to you and all your energy centers. Every experience that you're calling for will automatically come to you, like the fish go upstream, like the bears go into their den. There will be none of you as a human running around trying to make something happen, trying to change yourself. A human is not the transmuter of energy. It is the experiencer of life. It is the feeler, the sensor, the taster, the toucher. It cannot change that. It cannot change what it has known to be true. It's in there, you see. So all it can do is surrender. And when you surrender, you release the emotion to the divine. The divine is the transmuter. The divine will decide to lift the energy from you, for you, and the natural flow will open, and all of the experiences that are already there, by the way, through what you have suffered and through what you have enjoyed, matters not, will flow to you through that divine current, and you will be filled with everything you have ever desired.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, that all felt pretty good when I was listening to that. I felt like a little bit of fullness in my heart area. It was like you were raising us up a little bit with that message. Chanelle, did you have another question that you'd like to ask Athena?
So I just wanted to say that I feel like that is so significant in all of our lives. Like, I know a lot of people who like hold on to shame. So it's this thing where it's like, you have to beat yourself down, right? Okay, so that was the last transcendence of like, for us to be better, we have to beat ourselves down. We have to tell ourselves, you know what, you're not doing things properly right now. You need to be better. Imagine if you are enough. And that's what I love about this whole thing that you guys are pushing out. It's like, you are enough. And so once you can understand that self-love is the root of all healing. So it's often we judge ourselves, we judge people, we judge. Imagine if we didn't do that so much anymore. Imagine if we, understandably, like, we should be good humans. We should do things properly. But who's to say? Like, that's my question. Like, actually, that's going to be my question. Who's to say what's right or wrong? And that's a very huge thing that you're saying. Like, my mom always she's very Christian. And I'm not saying my mom or like other people or Christianity and religions. And it's like, this good, this bad. Who's to say what? Like,
there is no right and wrong. There's energy. That's all it is. A charge of energy is being released from a human in the form of emotion, and that energetic charge is being received and elevated to the level of vibration of all that is, which is a very high and fast vibration. And therefore, it doesn't matter whether the experience has been deemed as a positive or negative one, or a good or bad one in a human's view, because a human is worthy the minute they emote, the minute that they have a preference. They have added to themselves and they have expanded the universe. You ask any scientist and they will tell you the universe is growing, growing, growing. And as you have a preference, by the way, or an expansion of emotion goes out, whatever it is you put your focus on, it's immediately sucked into you. It's added to your universe. It's become part of it. You can't get it out. This is an all-inclusive resort you're on here. Whatever you look at, whatever you focus upon, whatever you feel or think about something, whatever you cast a judgment upon, it is in your universe that belongs to you. And so now you have all these other humans out there shopping around, listening to what other humans are putting out there into the masses in the form of their studies, in the form of what their beliefs are. And then you have to decide as a human, what stream of consciousness am I going to dive into that's been created by others? Or am I going to stay within my own creation of what I'm adding to my own universe? We would tell you that oftentimes with your TV and your news papers and the news that is on the broadcasts on the radio stations, they're telling humans all kinds of frightful things. You must do this and do this and do this. And if you don't do that, you're going to get this. Yeah. And then a human in their fear, ignoring their guidance system, they dive into that stream of consciousness, and then it becomes true for them. A lot will say, well, our studies support it. And we would say, yeah, they do support it, because those that believe in something create a stream of consciousness that others can join into. And then it will be true for them. But you have the ability in your sovereignty, and it's why you came, by the way, to create your own universe independent of the masses. Certainly, if there's something in the masses that you feel good about, that your guidance system kicks up and said, wow, I'd like to add that. That feels really good to me. I'm going to dive in with them, such as a stream of spirituality. That's a stream of consciousness too. A lot of people will say, oh, if you're a sage, you're a guru, you're somebody really great, you're better than everybody else, you know a lot more than everybody else. And we would say it's nothing more than another stream of consciousness that those have dove into, that they love, that they're emanating their love from and their energy from, and therefore it is a benefit to them, you see. But it doesn't mean that it is something more superior than what you're doing, Heidi, or what this woman is doing, or what we're doing. Energy is energy. All of us are expanding energy. All of us are expanding the universe. All of us are worthy. All of us are important, you see. Nobody's any better than, nobody's any higher than anybody else. Everybody is a creator, creators of streams of consciousness. You all have the choice. What do you love? What do you hate? What do you want to be a part of? What don't you want any part of? You have to pay attention to what it is you are putting your focus on, so that you know what you will become because of it, you see.
Right. And I think what I would just like to add to that is, in terms of the universe, there's no right or wrong, right? Because they're just receiving the charges of energy. But you in your human form get to decide if something feels like truth to you or something doesn't. And so in that way, maybe a preference would be a better word, but really you're kind of deciding for yourself what feels right or what feels wrong, knowing that the person next to you might also choose something completely opposite, and just allowing them to have
This is the
their
problem with the human, is they move into
way of thinking.
condemnation or justification, or they will say that one is bad, or that one is racist, or that one believes in this and I don't believe in it, you see. And then they become the same as the emanator that they have the distaste of, instead of just saying, I've seen it. Yeah, I see what they're doing. That is their emanation, and they are allowed their sovereignty. I do not judge them for it. But what is born in me from that is, I don't want to be racist. I don't want to have lack, or whatever it is I am viewing. And I'm grateful for them for showing me that. Yeah, because now I have drawn a conclusion or a preference from that. I'm not trying to change them. I'm not trying to oppose them or make them change their preference. This is what a lot of humans do. This is what you've done in all your marches. It's what you've done in all your causes, all your good things that you're doing for humanity. You're going out and opposing, you're pushing against, and what you're doing is creating more opposition energy, and therefore more mess for yourselves.
Absolutely.
Want to be.
Yeah.
So I found certain people, like, so I come from South Africa, where it's like there's been the apartheid. I've been heavily like, so I had a neighbor who every time he would see me, he'd spit on the floor and he'd shout like the K word. And so he like threatened to burn down our house, and at some point he did. But the thing is that
did you
when
feel
we tried to
justified in your
oppose
dislike of him as he did it?
when we're trying to oppose this, right, and we're trying to say no more racism. So I found in South Africa, there's been a shift between, so the apartheid where it was white racism. Now the blacks have so much hatred towards the whites, and I'm not saying anything, but I'm just saying it's like war within a war. You know what I mean? It's like a fight now. Instead of being saying, you know what I mean, like now we all going to transcend into a better way. It's like now it's like, oh no, we oppose that opposition.
Mhm.
And so now it's like the, you know, what I just call this reverse
Yes.
racism. Like
We'll
I've
just
heard
create more
people
opposition.
who are,
That's what we'll do. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. When the ones love themselves, we would use a lot of your different sexualities, for example. They moved into a state of acceptance of themselves. They have become parents. They have become pillars of the community. They have become a
love them,
displayer of love. Yeah. And they didn't give a hoot in hell how they were being perceived. They just decided we're going to live a life
love them.
we want to do, and we're going to love ourselves as we do it, you see. And guess what happened? Everybody just accepted. Everybody just opened to this new way of being or life that was
That's
happening.
the way.
And if someone is going to feel as though they are persecuted and feel as though there is racism or that they are powerless, then they are going to be presented with situations and people that will support that belief that they hold of themselves. Until a person decides to move into their own power, in their own decision of what they are, who they are, and how they are perceived, then they will be at the victimization of those that perceive them otherwise, you see.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting how, and I'm sure it's because there's so many people that haven't reached that awareness of them being their own creator, because it seems like in anything, whether it be a social situation or a work situation or friendships or families, it seems like there's always a point where there's a conflict, or it's almost like it can't go along even and happy for too long before there's a bump in the road. And then it's always pointing fingers, this person, that person, this person. And I think it's because so many people don't realize their role in the creation of it.
Yes, it's true.
We don't feel significant enough. Some people don't feel significant enough that they can make a change. And I feel
Mhm.
like by us bringing awareness in certain areas, like just by, so I'm very mixed race, right? So I was never black enough, never white enough, never colored enough, never Indian enough. So I'm part Indian, Spanish, Italian, Khoisan, Austrian, Jewish, Czechoslovakian. I feel like I was never enough. Like I can't say, oh, I'm like fully Austrian, I'm fully Indian, I'm fully any of those things. But by me integrating into these worlds and just being,
Yes, you are
I
human.
feel like that was where the change came.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. As one holds themselves separate in the belief they are somehow different by the color or nationality that they are a part of, they are actually creating the separation that they are saying they don't want, you see. When one sees themselves as enough, as equal, as worthy, yeah. Then these will be the
Self-love.
circumstances and situations that will actually be placed before you, you see. And the other exchanges that others are having that are not likened to that, you will not be a part of. They will not be in your experience. But does that mean they won't exist? All streams of consciousness exist, but you don't have to swim in all of them. You can swim in the ones that make you feel good, the ones that make you feel confident, accepted, loved, in your power. These are the choices that you have. Or you can decide that because of your race or color, that you are somehow destined to float to the bottom or float to the top of a stream of consciousness that isn't very pleasant to be in, you see.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I feel like I was so accepted by all of the things. Like I feel like I'm the transcending like race because I'm all of them. Like I was never one or the other. I was like always just me. And every time in South Africa where there was these boxes where I had to tick, I would tick other because I was none of them.
Yeah.
But I always was like, people would be like, who are you? And I'd be like, I'm human. I'm just the same as all of these people. And I feel like we all need to get that. We all need to stop putting people in a box. Like for me, everybody was like, "Oh, you colored," and I'd be like, "No, I'm just a human."
Underneath it all, really, what is any type of racism or opposition to what someone is a judgment. It's you're different than I am. Yeah. So I am having a judgment about it. But as you are judged and you look at the one that has judged you and you don't like how they are doing it, you are judging. You are actually joining them in the same thing that they are flinging at you, you see. And so when you can look at one that stands in judgment and have no judgment of them, and simply stand in your sovereignty of what it is you want to see in the world in love. We're not telling you to love the stinker. We're just telling you to stand in your power of what I emanate in this moment is love. I'm not moving to judgment of this one. I don't know his lineage. I don't know his past life. I have no idea what this one has experienced that is within him. But I can tell you by the view of him what I want to experience, and I'm grateful for him showing it to me. And now I'm going to simply follow my preference. I'm going to follow that loving world, that there is no concern about sexuality, that there's no concern about races or backgrounds of people. Yes, this is the direction that I'm going to follow, and I'm going to thank him for giving me the view in opposition to that so that I could draw the conclusion of what I really want. And now I'm going to become that. Now I'm going to be the beacon, the emanator, the light of that thing that was born of that person.
I love what you just said there, because what I do whenever I meet somebody, and like some people think I'm like really beautiful and some people look up to me, but what I do when I meet anybody, where there's like, you know, anybody that's anybody, whether I meet anybody. So I have this, I call it the silver lining, right? And I give everybody this like, so if between a chart, right? So the bottom is like 0 and the top is whatever. I give them like the same level of like trust and like just respect, right? That I can ultimately give them. And then I let them play with that. So then I let them show me who they are. And I don't judge based on, oh, it's your color, it's your race, it's your this, it's your that. Even if other people have told me something about you, then I won't like listen to it necessarily. I'm going to make my judgment, and you're going to ultimately create how I see you, perceive you.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel
Right.
like everyone should live like that. The silver lining.
Mm-hmm.
Give everybody respect, give everybody love, give everybody that chance.
Yes.
Right. Right. So before we talk today, I was just kind of brushing up and reading a little bit. You have a wonderful story of your life on your website that I read over. I was just going to ask, do you feel like your childhood or some of the things that you mentioned that were part of your life are part of the reason that you felt drawn to hypnotherapy? Do you think that originated in a childhood experience and kind of just followed the path there, or what are your thoughts on that?
So for me, I feel like hypnotherapy just like found me. I felt like it was very intuitive. So also we have Facebook right now. It's like based on the things that you're searching, things are going to come to you. But ultimately, I didn't realize how connected I was with this world based on my mom's teachings. So my 3 sisters had a really bad accident when I was 5 years old. Okay. And one day my mom had this dream, and that was on the week after they had this bad accident. Like they were like 2 of them died twice. Like they had like really bad injuries. So they were the only survivors in the car accident. There were 5 of them. The passenger and the driver died. And so on this day, I can't remember which day, but like my mom was telling me the story. And I don't know how true it is and how well she remembers this, like many years ago. I'm 31 now. So I was 5 years old when this happened. My mom and I were having this discussion recently, and she was saying she had this dream. And I still remember she's told me this like my whole life, but I didn't believe it. And I was like, it was a bit taboo for me. But she had this dream, and she had this dream where somebody said, don't worry about anything. So my mom prays all the time. This guy said, don't worry about anything. I'm going to make them better. They will be okay. So it was 7 o'clock when she had this dream. Normally she would get to the hospital at 6 a.m. She gets to the hospital later than she normally would. So she would go from one daughter to the next. So I've got 3 sisters. So Chanelle, Michelle, Rochelle. Chanelle, Michelle, and Rochelle. I'm Chanelle. So she got to Michelle, who's the younger daughter, who's 2 years older than me, and she got to her, and suddenly, so she was mute at the time. Suddenly on this day, she started speaking. My sister told her, Mom, I had a dream. I went to the same place that you are, and they made me better. And that was the only words that she said for the next month. So she was mute, then she spoke those few words, right? Then she didn't speak again.
Yeah.
Then
Cool.
my mom goes into the next room where my other sister is, and she says, the doctors are like, oh my God, like the one's hip was broken. She was like, the doctors were like, suddenly, like all of this stuff happened, and like one was breathing again. There were these miraculous moments within this time since 7 a.m. when my mom had this dream at 7 a.m. So just after 7, she got to the hospital. All of these miracles happened, and my one sister said, I had a dream that I went to the same place that you went to, and they made me better.
That's awesome. Yeah.
They.
Story.
Yeah. So Chanelle, if our listeners would like to learn more or book a session with you, can you let them know where they could get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So because I have lots of sisters, my brand is Your Hypno Sister. And so you can go on my website. It's like your Hypno Sister.
Yes. Yep.
And I've all the information there. You can just go onto like book a session with me, and I give a free session ultimately, just for you to understand like how it works. So we work a lot with your neural pathways, with working with your thought processes. So a lot of the times we have these negative thought processes, right? So we're thinking like, so we'll be like, we'll go down a negative thought loop. And what's very important in this life is to catch yourself and bring yourself back, because going back and reminiscing is not so conducive to you. There's ultimately so many more modalities that we use and everything, but I do give a free session, which is like 15 to 45 minutes, depending on how many I need with you or how much understanding I want you to have. And in terms of like just helping you perform optimally, like you don't even need to have something wrong with you in order to have this type of therapy. It's like just managing, like all the things that I've learned through hypnotherapy. It's managing your thought processes, knowing that like we are creators. Like now this is like an even huger thing for me after hearing you guys. And look, we are creators and we are love, and we have to speak to ourselves like our inner child with the utmost self-love. So become your own cheerleader is what I want to tell everybody. Like cheer yourself on. Like nobody's coming to save you guys. Like, yeah, okay, I can save you, other people can save you, but be kind to yourself and treat yourself with kindness, because in this lifetime it's been a very thing like we shouldn't be arrogant. And it's not arrogance where it's like treating yourself with self-love, but it's being kind to yourself and accepting that you are who you are and where you are, knowing that we can get better, knowing that our neural pathways can do so much for us. The more you do something, the better you're going to get at it. And in terms of performance, in terms of anxiety, in terms of a lot of things, it's very helpful and very new. I was going to say nutritious,
Yeah.
nourishing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's Athena's message as well. She always is telling you to soothe your human and be kind to yourself. Any closing thoughts for you, Athena?
I think it has been summarized pretty well, Heidi. When we tell a human to love themselves, we want them to surrender to the experience of being human. Not to the experience that they have to do it a certain way or be perceived a certain way even, that they just understand that they are here providing preferences to the divine part of them who is receiving them, whether they feel good or not as they are doing it, they are growing because of it. And to hold this idea and just to follow up with what Chanelle said, there's nobody waiting at the end of this experience that's going to be judging you or condemning you. That's that term. We tell humans all the time that you're actually forming your next lifetime in the lifetime you're in, you see. So every way that you are emoting, how you're thinking, how you're feeling, how you're perceiving, how you're interacting, all of those things are being laid out before you, just like the life that you are living right now. To some degree, what you stand in right now, you've already emoted on. It's already happened. And so if you decide in your now moment, how do you want to feel? What kind of parent do you want to be? What kind of a husband do you like? Not the one you have that you don't like, because you're not going to get there from there. But at least you can start projecting out into front of you some experiences that will be coming in your future that you will experience in this lifetime and then in future lifetimes, you see.
Awesome.
On that, your thoughts, your words, and so your thoughts, your words, and your actions are creations. And that's a huge thing of hypnotherapy. Your thoughts, like we don't think our thoughts, so we think things, and it's like we think that only our words count, but your thoughts are counting too. They're creating.
Right. Well, thank you, Chanelle, so much for coming on. We've enjoyed talking to you, and we appreciate you giving us your time. Thank you, Athena. Thanks, Robin. And we'll see
Oh,
you
thank you,
again.
girls. I hope that we can do this again because I still have so many more questions and whatever. If you guys want to, at any point, please let me know. But what do you girls are putting out into the world? Like, I just want to spread it even more. I just know that this is the right way to think, to be, to emanate. And this is my new religion. I
Yes.
listen to you girls every day. Like, so I've just gone through a breakup and it's been really hard on me. And still every now and again, I'm like, should I go back? Should I stay? But I knew it was very intuitive of like breaking away. And so that's how I kind of found you. But
we're just going to comment one last thing. Yeah, Heidi? We wrote a book. Yeah, it is called Choose Your Universe. It's available on Amazon now and other platforms. But what does it really mean? It means that you have the ability to choose. You have free will. Oftentimes, a human will become confused as to what it is they should choose, such as you were talking about in your relationship. And the way to choose is to take what you have to consider in your life and then hold both things in your hands, one in each hand, and then strike a balance. Should I choose the relationship? We're not speaking of you in particular, anyone. Should I stay because of these reasons with this person? Or should I leave? What kind of hardship would I encounter? How would my life be then? And so you're holding both of these things, these options, these choices that you have, and you are to pick something that allows you the most peace and balance that you can in the present situation you are. And then you decide, I have chosen. I am not the victim of. I am not forced. No one's forcing me to do this. Many times when a human stays in a marriage, something that they're not wanting to stay in because of financial reasons or children or whatever, they'll say, I had no choice. I had to stay in it. Negative, negative, negative. They don't like it. They're disappointed in it, disappointed in themselves. But rather than saying, I could have left, I could have had some financial difficulty. I could have seen my children separated from one of their parents. And I don't like the way I feel. That feels a whole lot more resistive to me than just staying in the relationship. By staying in it and then actually adjusting yourself to what balances you, now you become the master. Now you are the one that has chosen, not the victim that has been stuck in something, but someone that has actually consciously chosen a situation. And now if you choose, you can start to emanate in ways that are not victimizing, and you can actually start to create your way out of something that maybe perhaps you're not wanting to be in, but you're never going to do it by feeling like you're stuck in it or victimized by it. You have to know that you have chosen it. I have these options. This is what I have right now. And so you pick something and then you get behind it and you love it and you commit to it and you decide this is my choice right now. And in that choosing, you'll open the door for the universe to actually supply you with something that will satisfy you, you see.
Wow. So I love that, because one thing I want everybody to know is you have a choice. And sometimes it's hard and you need to hold on to that. You need to take those risks, right? Nothing's easy in this life. Not nothing's easy, but the hard part is staying and having those regrets. Like the reason why I've started a band, I started being an actress, I started doing all the things that I wanted to, because I saw my parents, an 84-year-old and a 64-year-old, just saying like, oh, if only I did this, then that would happen. If only I did this. And they holding on so much, like you're detrimental. It's like the most significant thing to some of the older generation is like the things that they didn't do. So it's like exactly what you were saying, where it's like, do what's good for you, what you know is good for you. And sometimes like I've taken the deepest, hardest, it felt like the hardest thing in my life to leave a guy of 5 years. And I also felt like I could never do better, but it was just like fears and worries and all of these things, and all of our fears and our worries and all of these negative emotions, they hold us and they keep us stuck within this. But know that when you are a creator, just like Athena is saying, when you know that, just hold on to that thing where you say, I am a creator. I can create this life. I can create what I want. Then you give yourself back the power. And that's what hypnotherapy is all about, is saying with your neural pathways as well, you can do anything. The more you do something, the better you're going to get at it, and the more it will become an automatic function. And so ultimately, like, don't sit in a place of fear. It's like, choose. Okay, are you happy right now? Do you want to stay here? Or do you want to move out of that? And it is so hard. Like, I'm struggling with it still. I'm constantly like, should I go back? Should I stay? But I know that I wanted something different. I wanted something better. And actually it was very intuitive thing. Like somebody was telling me, Chanelle, you deserve better type of thing. Loads of people, everybody was telling me that. But anyway, just don't stay stuck. Just know that you're the creator of your life, of this life, and choose where you want to go, because you can. And that's where I'm at.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you both so much. We'll
Thanks.
talk to you again next time.